Seek the truth. Inner is free, plus I'm not for you. Both and are gone, holiday, they do. Repackage the debt, derivative change. 98% lost to financial gain. Look it up yourself, don't take my word. Networks of finance loans transferred. Usury prohibited within their home. While your mortgage bleeds you to the bone. Be a currency, wait up there, central bank. The system said, Christian, call the sin. Power Johnny, can't forget. Financial collapse, here's the proof. Second order derivatives climb while the dollar dies over time. These are facts.
Welcome back, Danksters. It is your boy, Danks from Danksters Intel. We are going to be opening up with something that I was sent. So this post, I guess, is just now surfacing to me. Now, the person that sent it to me is notoriously late, and somehow I have not seen this yet. So we're going to actually show this first. I want to know if you guys in the chat have seen this. So before we do anything, before we get into the debrief of the day, I am going to show you what I was just sent. So it is regarding, I changed the title as breaking, but maybe it is, maybe it isn't. You guys let me know. So obviously we've heard about the alleged, sexual allegations or the text messages that were conveyed to a, minor while Erika Kirk was allegedly 10 years older than this person. And I had received these posts, and I just wanted to share this with you. Our story is not going to be focused around this today. Obviously, we have a lot more pressing things to talk about than someone's sexuality. I could care less, but I'm sure if you haven't seen it, you might want to see it yourself. So we're going to show it. So this right here is a post from the 15th. It's got 2.1 million views. Let me know in the chat if you've seen this. What's up to all the Rumblers? We should be live on Rumble as well. I'm pulling out the chat to make sure all of that's going well. Make sure that's working. Sorry. And yeah, we should be ready over there. I see the chat. Good. I don't want to take too long in the intro, but I do want to show this because I'm kind of curious if we've seen this. So why is she like this? Okay, so it's this one right here. Susan Pearson posted on the 15th. The first one says, "Are you from the moon because your physique is out of this world?" And that's from Mrs. Erika Kirk, which 389 weeks, I think I'm not sure the timeline there, but Erika Francvi would be probably the name at the time. All those curves and me with no breaks. That's some pretty sexual innuendo for sure. What else we got? So this is on the same. So this is a week later, right? So 389 weeks. And then, so are you from the moon because your physique is out of this world by Miss Erika Kirk, allegedly. All those curves and me with no breaks. And then a week later, my heart and this building have one thing in common: full occupancy with you in my life. I know the best restaurants in I know the best restaurant in town My place. Whoa. Who is this to? Sid Stahl. Hi, I live across the hall from you. You sure look pretty through the peephole. Damn. Okay, so these are on these pictures, I guess. Your court or mine? She's doing the split. So this is from Sid Stahl's post. That's what it looks like, at least. Your court or mine? Sid Stahl responds, I'll show you my ace. Miss Erika Kirk responds to Sid Marie P. Good, because the whole world is about to witness it. What does that mean? Are you, so this is a back and forth, and this is multiple weeks now going through. Mrs. Erika Kirk, are you Roger Federer's ground strokes? Because, baby, you are so elegant. And then eyes emoji. Cuff me or nah. I wish I could see what that picture is there. Erica Franzvi is being responded to. And this is now looking like weeks earlier. 5 years to life, but parole if you're on good behavior. Winky face. Good thing I submitted my application 6 years ago. Damn, bro. Is she a sexual deviant? I mean, look, ain't nobody holding you against it. It's all good. It's all good, girl. You want to, hang out with your thing out. Your shirt looks a lot like my thoughts, tied up with you. Baby girl, those long legs have been running through my mind all day. Damn, bro. What is going on over here? Erika, you got yourself a little nasty side, girl. You trying to smash. I don't know how you going to smash. What are you going to use? Well, I mean, this is crazy. So let me know in the chat. I guess I'll put I really want to know if you guys have seen this, if I'm like late to this or what. So what we're going to do is throw a poll up. Have you seen this exactly? Because now it's piling on top. Have you seen these posts from Sid _ Stahl and EK? Yes, no. Poll is in the chat on YouTube. Smash the like button, smash the subscribe button if you haven't already. We're going to be diving into some of the most, dramatic, longest con in American history. I've got something I've been working on to follow up with what we've been covering, with the surveillance state being implemented, Turning Point USA being involved, in my humble opinion. And when you see these types of lies coming from Erika Kirk, if this is indeed her account, which I mean, I don't know if I guess you could fake this, maybe. The thing is, we've caught her in so many lies, or she's at least been caught in so many lies or misappropriated statements that I wouldn't put anything past her. Pastor, isn't that funny? We're gonna be talking about pastors today. You have not heard of this. We got 85 votes. 87% said they've not heard of this. This is interesting. If you guys want, you can clip this, put it on X or YouTube. I don't mind. I'm gonna put it in the chat. That's the link. I put it in the chat. Let's go through this one more time. Are you from the moon? Because 389 weeks ago. Man, I'm so bad. Let me look at this. 389 divided by 52. 7.5 years ago. So 2019. So she's had already met Charlie, dating by this time. And this is right around the time that she had already gone and applied for, or actually ran a write-in vote for the precinct committeeman in Arizona. That's very interesting. So it's funny that it's on this post, right? Because it's obviously showing her ass out. Can't see what this one is. Let me see if there's anything else up in here. All those curves and me with no brakes. they got homie over here. The left in their lies. So sad. Okay, here's more, huh? Sid Marie P, this one's for you. Erica Franz V, we are not actually dating, but she's the best boyfriend I've ever had. Whoa. What is this? I mean, are you an alien because your face is out of this world? You can always ride my spaceship, from Miss Erika Kirk. That's funny because when I look at you, I feel butterflies in my stomach. That's funny because when I look at you, I feel the whole damn zoo. What? Whoa. What? Hold on. It gets better. The petting zoo? Hey, little llama, let me whisper in your ear. Damn, girl. No wonder Charlie fell so head over heels. Boy was like, I got me a freak a leak. I'm going to have me some threesomes. Are you a bank loan? Because, is this for real? And now this is from February 17, 2026. Are you a bank loan because you got my interest? And that looks like it's from Miss Erika. Are you a bank loan because you got my interest? I would take you to the movies, but they don't allow snacks. Keep going. Huh. Ick. But in fairness, it sounds like she's running through the corniest, silliest pickup line she can think of to laugh, not to seduce. That's an interesting comment. This woman is for the streets. This is kind of a dope photo. I think this is chill. Oh, what she ordered? Fish fillet? That's a line.
What she ordered?
Drinking wine, fish fillet. What she ordered? Fish fillet? I wasn't in some fort. Grieve different. That's hilarious, bro. My goodness. So is this who you want raising youngsters or leading a church movement? Because looks like a PSYOP to me. Maybe it's not true. 2026. Yeah, look, I get you, and that's why I'm like apprehensive. I'm like, is this real? Let me see. Let me see if we can. Let me see if I can run this through something right here real quick. And can you tell me if this is AI or not? Let me put these pictures up on here. I wonder how I would be able to tell. I'm not really into Instagram, so I don't know about all this. Looks like Instagram, right? That's what this is. I need you to reference back to 392 weeks ago / roughly 7.5 years ago against today's Instagram posting visual appearances. Let's see what this is. This is quite disturbing. I can see those screenshots from Instagram showing comments by Miss Erika Kirk, dated approximately 383 to 393 weeks ago, roughly 7 to 7.5 years back. However, I can't make the determination based on the screenshots what I can actually see. Comment threads with pickup lines and flirty banter. Profile pictures are too small. Yeah. If I had more time and if I cared enough, starting off with the bang here. It's a little off topic, but I figured I'd show you what I see. Let me see if there's anything else in here that might be of interest. Let me see what else we got. Yeah, again, that lady, whoever she's going back and forth with, doesn't look underage, right? So, but I don't know. Maybe it's hard to tell for me. I guess she doesn't look underage. I don't think. If these are 383 weeks ago, this is right around after she met Charlie. No. This is very interesting, man. It's like more and more is uncovered. It was her former roommate. That's fine. Look, I don't care. I really don't care. All I really care about is like what you're saying and if you're lying. And even then, I don't really care. You know, what I care more about is why the lie, right? That's the most important to me. Why make up stuff? Why create deception? Why not just be who you are? And that's one of the worst things. George Webb laid it all out today. I encourage everyone to watch it after Dankster Show. Cool. I'll check it out. That's great. Yeah. So anyways, that's not the topic of today, but I figured I'd throw it in there in the beginning, throw a little intrigue and see what you guys think. And 85% of almost 200 votes have said no, they have not seen this yet. So this is quite interesting. We're going to end that. Now I'm going to put up another poll before we get started here. And let me see. I just want to know, how many people do you go to church? Yes or no? I put another poll in the chat. Do you go to church? Because this is like, even though this isn't just church targeting, they've decided for a fact through FARA filings, through my website, if you've been following this series or the beginning of this topic of discussion that I'm busting out here, you will see that for sure what's been going on is exactly this. They're targeting Americans through Christianity, through churches being funded by a foreign state in the Middle East. And what they're doing is literally doing psychological operations through your pastor, phone hopping. If you've been following me on X, if you've been following me here on YouTube, if you've been following me anywhere, that's what I've really been focusing on, is what are they really doing? How are they doing it? And why, right? The ultimate reason is, the ultimate search is for why, right? That's what I really want to find out, is what is going on here, right? Because the government, and I'll show a post here that I made yesterday, because I recently came across, let's see if I can share this. Recently came across, let me see. I think it's this. So I quote posted this from Gen X Girl, and it's a video of Ian Carroll. And so what this says, AG Pam Bondi cleared the way for Israel's foreign influence operation on her first day. Newly appointed AG Pam Bondi disbanded the Foreign Influence Task Force, the DOJ office responsible for enforcing FARA. So they are going back to before FARA, which I will explain everything after we go through the Dankster Intel debrief. But this is critical. Okay, this is critical. This is the live stream, apparently.
Well,
if I can run the transcript and find out exactly where, while we do the thing, we're going to do the thing here. We're going to do it right now. Let me go ahead and run this transcript. And you tell me the exact timestamp. I'm like, I wasn't planning on actually showing all this, so I'm on the cuff here. Let me pull this up and show you guys after we go through the debrief. I'll go through super chats after the debrief, where this information is discussed in this live stream. Transcript attached. So what we're going to be doing is we're going to be discussing the $145 million PSYOP, $150 million PSYOP, and I'm going to need you to pay attention here. This is major stuff. Welcome to the new members. Like the chat. Thank you for the super. And yeah, lots of sketchy stuff going on. Thank you for the super chat. Good to see you, Rogue Dissident. She's got a YouTube channel. You can type in Rogue Dissident. She's making dope content. And we got new members and 5 memberships. Say thank you to Keats. Let's get right into the Dankster Debrief. And I really want to, this is going to be a little longer. I'm going to lay it all out here. Really the largest or the longest con in American history. So I need you to sit down for this one. Pay attention as much as you can. I'm not being dramatic. If your phone is half listening, if you're sitting there half listening, talking, having a conversation, if you got this on in the background, you might want to come sit down, turn on your TV, put this on your phone, listen with 2 earbuds in, because what I'm going to walk you through today isn't a theory. It's not speculation. It's me not just connecting the dots that don't exist. This is not that. Okay. This is every single thing I'm about to say comes directly from FARA filings. All right. Foreign Agents Registration Act, which actually Pam Bondi is apparently dismantling. And we're going to show some of that afterwards with the United States Department of Justice. IRS records, federal court documents proving everything I'm saying, investigations by the Washington Post, the Times of Israel, Responsible Statecraft, which is a crazy name for a publishing service, Fox 10, Phoenix. I mean, Christianity Today, the Jewish Telegraphic Agency, the American Conservative. These aren't fringe sources. This is not some random YouTube channel that I'm pulling this information from. This is their own publications coming straight out of that country or operating with the people of that country. These are their own publications, man. These are their own words, their own dollar amounts, filed under penalty of federal law, perjury. So over the last live streams, videos, and I've been getting to this surveillance state technology, the geofencing, the Wi-Fi, fingerprinting, the device ID capturing. I showed you how to. Someone's blowing me up over here. Human body detection. Oh, it's just the gardener. Got to be on the lookout over here. Human body detection. Hold on one second. Knock, knock. If you hear my dogs barking, that's what it is. That's just the neighbor bringing their trash back in. Okay. All right. So I've been showing you this technology. I've made graphics. I've got more to show you. All right. What do we got here? People are asking me questions in the chat. How do you feel about what Jesse presented, old tweets without interaction? That I haven't dug into yet. I'm not ready to speak on that because I don't know if you can possibly even pull out information privatized and what Jesse was saying. I didn't watch the whole thing. I watched most of it. Actually, I did watch the whole thing. And I don't know. I can't speak on that yet. I don't know how you'd be able to privatize a message, not show it, and then all of a sudden it shows up. That's scary if it is the case, right? But we're gonna dive deeper into more important things. That is kind of important, though. I will say that is important if they're able to privatize posts on X and then bring them back, unless it's a different account. I don't know. It's quite confusing. I'd have to do some looking into that. But I've showed you FARA filings, millions of dollars, 300 plus churches, mega churches, really, funded from a foreign government. So today I'm going to show you something much bigger. We're going to talk about something much bigger because those filings aren't the beginning of the story. They're really kind of getting towards the end of a story that started back in 1909. And when you see the full arc, when you see how Christianity in America was deliberately, systematically, and provably altered over the course of a century to serve the political interests of a foreign state, you're going to be furious, if not already. Not because I told you to be. You can do whatever you want. But because the evidence will make you furious on its own. And then I'm going to show you what's happening right now. I'm going to talk to you about what's happening right now because there is a tour, a national church tour happening as we speak, visiting 30 plus cities across the United States that is walking into the exact same churches that a foreign government filed paperwork to geofence. geofence, generative engine optimization through large language models to psychologically manipulate the way that a pastor, a congregation receives a pastor's message, what you end up receiving from your large language model like ChatGPT, Claude, any AI. And the headlining pastor was literally named in the foreign government's FARA filings as a target to recruit. That tour, as you might know, is called Make Heaven Crowded. It's run by Turning Point USA's Faith, and I've got receipts. I've got plenty of information. So let me start with a convicted criminal, a Wall Street lawyer, and a Bible. In 1909, Oxford University Press published, hold on one second. They published a study Bible, and it was with the text of the King James Version. Nothing unusual about that in particular, but what made this Bible different were the footnotes. Hundreds of pages of annotations printed right alongside scripture, commentary that told readers how to interpret what they were reading. The editor's name was Cyrus Schofield. I don't know if you've heard of Cyrus Schofield. Now, Cyrus Schofield was not a theologian. He was not a seminary professor, and he had no academic credentials in biblical studies. What he was, though, according to newspaper accounts from his own time, was a convicted forger and a man who abandoned his wife and 2 daughters. And the Atchison Patriot described him as a fraud during his entire lifetime. He served prison time for financial crimes in Kansas. But Schofield had a mentor, a British preacher named John Nelson Darby from the Plymouth Brethren movement, who had developed a theological system called dispensationalism. Darby's system divided all of human history into distinct areas or dispensations. You might have heard of dispensationalism, so you're going to learn a little bit about that. And at its core, it taught something that had never been a mainstream part of Christian theology before, that God's covenant with the Jewish people is separate from and parallel to his covenant with the church. That the modern return of Jews to Palestine was prophesied in Scripture and necessary for the second coming of Christ, and that Christians have a biblical obligation to support the political state of Israel, a state that wouldn't even exist actually for another 40 years, despite being Canaan before Canaan, and then the Egyptians had them, the Hebrews. And look, there's a whole backstory on all of this. But at this time, Israel hadn't become a country until 40 years later, something like that, maybe even longer. So Darby made 6 trips to America to sell this idea, but it was Schofield who made it permanent by printing it directly into the margins of a Bible, weaving in ideas and theology into biblical scripture. Here's where things kind of change, maybe get uncomfortable, is because Schofield didn't fund this project himself. He was broke. He was disgraced as an ex-convict with no publishing connections. So who paid for the most influential story or influential study Bible, perhaps, in American history? There's a person it was a researcher, Joseph Canfield, who spent years in the Schofield family papers, traced money to the Latos Club in New York City, an exclusive private club whose members included some of the most powerful men in American finance. And one of those members was Samuel Untermyer. Samuel Untermyer was a Wall Street attorney, one of the wealthiest men in America, and one of the most powerful Zionist organizers of his era. He was deeply involved in the founding of the Federal Reserve. He was a close ally of Chaim Weizmann, who would become the first president of Israel. And according to multiple researchers, including Professor David Lutz, who published his findings in a paper titled Unjust War Theory, Christian Zionism and the Road to Jerusalem. Untermeyer used Schofield, and I'll just quote directly, to inject Zionist ideas into American Protestantism, basically injecting Zionism into Protestants, American Protestants. Lutz wrote that Untermeyer and other wealthy Zionists promoted and funded Schofield's career, including paying for his travel to Europe, where Oxford University Press publisher Henry Froude expressed, quote, immediate interest in the project. A convicted forger with no theological training was financed by a Zionist Wall Street lawyer to rewrite the footnotes of the King James Bible, and Oxford University Press, one of the most respected publishing institutions in the world, put their name on it. The Schofield Reference Bible was published in 1909. By World War II, it sold over 2 million copies. It became the standard study Bible in American evangelical churches of its time, Southern Baptist seminaries, Bible colleges, and Sunday school curriculum across the country. Generations of American pastors were trained on it. Moody Bible Institute, you may have heard of Moody, in Chicago taught it. Dallas Theological Seminary built their entire program around it. And here's what matters really about it is that the original 1909 edition was already tilted. But after Schofield died in 1921, Oxford University Press, which owned the copyrights, not Schofield's family, they began making changes. The 1967 edition, published the same year as the Six-Day War, added massive new pro-Zionist annotations. One of the most extraordinary additions was a footnote to Genesis 12:3 that read, "For a nation to commit the sin of anti-Semitism brings inevitable judgment." That sentence is not in the Bible. It was written by editors at Oxford University Press and printed in the margins of Scripture as if it were Holy Writ. And millions of American Christians read it and believed it was God's word. Think about that for a second, actually. Let's think about it. Think about what it means to print a political statement in the margins of a Bible and distribute it to every church in America. That's not evangelism. That's not theology. That's an influence operation starting way back then, targeting the most sacred text in the Christian faith. If there's one thing we've learned, there's no bounds here. Now, I want to be clear about something. I'm not here to attack Jewish people. Absolutely not. I have some great friends that are Jewish. But I am also not here to promote any hatred of anyone. I actually love almost everyone. And I don't have hate for anyone, really. But what I am here to do is follow the money and documents and information just the way that I always do. If you follow me, you know that I come with receipts. I come with fact-based written evidence that I get from mostly government websites. And I show you what the receipts say. And I explain them in a way that makes it digestible for people that maybe can't understand the technical jargon that might be within all of this, right? So I encourage you, first of all, to not take my word for any of this, is to read your own Bible, but find one that doesn't have any footnotes or adjusted annotations that could be influenced from some political regime. But on my end, what the receipts say is that dispensationalism taught American Christians three ideas that fundamentally rewired how they understood their own religion. And I think this is a lot of the reason why Catholicism is so attractive for so many people, and so it's just so different. And there's so much, I guess, what's the word for it? There's a lot of controversy. There's things that I've heard of, like rituals, and they try to get you to think about things in a way like, oh, I don't call someone else my father, whatever. Like, at the end of the day, are they preaching the Bible or are they preaching something else? And that's really what should be understood here. It's not all the other jargon around a religion, in my opinion. I think it should be what is in the Bible. If you're a Christian or if you're a faith believer in Christ and Jesus and God, and that is your belief, then you should be getting the word directly from that Bible. And this is going to tie into everything that we're going to be talking about here today and moving forward. Secondly, modern political state of Israel is the fulfillment of Old Testament prophecy. And that's supporting this nation. This is what's being told in dispensationalism, is that supporting this nation state is a religious obligation. Genesis 12:3, I will bless those who bless you and curse those who curse you. You may have heard this in the past, recently, maybe not, but it was reinterpreted to mean that any criticism of modern government policy is a sin against God. As a biblical scholar, Gary Burge has pointed this out. The original text is talking about Abraham's descendants, not a 20th century nation state. But the Schofield annotations have made the political reading the dominant perspective when hearing that line or reading that line. And this is why you hear we shouldn't mix church and state. Thirdly, the rapture. The belief that Christians will be physically taken up to heaven before a period of tribulation. And it requires the people of that country to be gathered in that country first. That means that in dispensationalist theology, Jewish people are not valued as people with their own faith and their own agency. They are viewed as instruments of prophetic or prophecy, I guess you could say. Their purpose in this framework is to trigger the end of the world so that Christians can escape it. That you can, however you want to interpret it, that's the best way I can understand. So this third point is where it gets really dark, because dispensationalism teaches that during the tribulations, enormous numbers of Jewish people will suffer and die before the survivors accept Jesus as the Messiah. The theology that claims to support that country actually predicts, and in some interpretations requires, the mass death of the people of this faith that happen to come from that country as part of God's plan. Christian Zionism doesn't love Jewish people, apparently. It uses them, and Jewish scholars have been saying this for decades. A piece published in the Times of Israel, not an anti-Israel publication, Israel's own newspaper of record, stated that dispensationalism and Christian Zionism have deeply anti-Semitic theological motivations, that their true goal is Jewish conversion rather than Jewish survival, and that they strip Jews of agency by reducing them to mere participants in God's divine plan for Christianity. That's from the Israel Times, not me. Now, this theology didn't stay in study Bibles. It jumped into popular culture in the 1970s. Someone named Hal Lindsey. Hal Lindsey published The Late Great Planet Earth. Over 30 million copies were sold of that book. In the 1990s, the Left Behind series, I read all of those books. They even made a TV series or a show out of it, or movies, something like that. Sold over 65 million copies and was adapted in 5 films. These books turned dispensationalism theology into entertainment. And then came the political infrastructure, Jerry Falwell, Pat Robertson, the moral majority. And most importantly, John Hagee, who founded Christians United for Israel, CUFI, C-U-F-I, which became the largest pro-advocacy group in the United States. When Hagee declared the 50 million evangelical Christians stand with Israel, he wasn't describing a spontaneous movement. He was describing the product of a century of theological engineering that began with Cyrus Schofield's annotated Bible. 116 years from a convicted forger's annotated Bible in 1909 to a $145 million government-funded influence operation in 2025. Same goal. I mean, I tell you all the time, it's the same playbook. Same goal, same target, different technology, different years. I mean, it's the same playbook, dude. It's the same playbook when it comes to scams, when it comes to everything that I've seen so far through this channel. The playbook seems to always be the same, depending on what the initial outcome is intended to be. Now we're in the present. Sorry. This is not for the faint of heart. This has to be discussed, though. Try to figure out how am I going to go about this and Boston that and this and that. I don't. At this point, the conversation has to be had, and at least put it out there so you guys know what's happening, because this ties into the technological infrastructure that's being displaced or implemented rather into our society, targeting people because now Americans seem to be waking up to a different version of what they were been told all these years, and now the beliefs are changing, the ideas are radicalizing, and they want to bring us back to their bias. Unfortunately, people are going to have to make their own decision on that. I'm not here to make you think any particular way, but there's a lot of you here for a particular reason. So listen to what I have to say and make your own decision. Now, in 2025, the Israel Foreign Ministry was allocated like $500 million shekels, approximately, I think it's like 145 million US dollars, for a global public diplomacy campaign. And they called it Project 545, which is an outlet that was reported on through the Israeli Ynet. It was discussed in the Knesset. Foreign Minister Gideon Sa'ar called the investment essential and argued that Israel's resilience abroad depends on winning the narrative battle. And we'll look at some stuff. You've seen a lot of the videos that I'll probably show after this, but they're trying to win a narrative battle. Social media, AI, Google. But why the urgency? In my opinion, it's because the narrative that they're trying to shape is collapsing. So they're trying to take over the technology, the very technology that we all use on a day-to-day basis, and find a way to get to every single person through a virus. If you watch my last show, you'll understand what I'm saying, but we'll cover more of it today. A Gallup poll published last year in the summer of 2025, in July, I think it was, found that only 9% of Americans aged 18 to 34 supported the military campaign in Gaza. 9%. Another survey commissioned by their own foreign ministry found that 47% of all Americans believe that they're doing an active G-side in the G area. I'm trying to be tactful here because this is a lot of, but whether or not we believe it's a G side or whatever, Prime Minister Netanyahu described the online information space as the eighth front. This is their information war. At a meeting with pro-influencers in New York, Netanyahu said, "We have to fight back." How do we fight? With influencers. They're very important. He called social media the most important weapon today. And he's right. He's not wrong. He's right. It can be used as good or bad. It's a weapon. But what's interesting is that you don't ever hear us, like, perhaps there is weaponization of social media from American government to another country. We don't hear about it. I think that is probably happening. But the overt, outlandish, just open statement of saying it's a weapon today, that's the most important weapon. So what are you using this weapon for, right? We have to think, when they say it's the most important weapon today, weapons are used to kill people. They're used to hurt people. You must understand that social media was not meant to hurt and kill people. And if anybody is telling you that social media is an important weapon, then they are radicalized to the point of no return. And they have a bigger agenda that we probably can't comprehend and that we're not privy to. That's the prime minister of a foreign nation calling American social media a weapon and then deploying $150 million to use it. That money was spent here in American churches, on American phones, targeting American citizens through specific operations. And so far, fortunately, filed under the Foreign Agent Registration Act, all serving the same foreign principle, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs of you know what. Now, the FARA registration filings of September 27th, 2025, run by Chad Schnitzker, the president of California chapter of Faith and Freedom Coalition. Budget is $3.2 million with an ideal additional budget of $835,000. So we're looking at $4 million to expand in Texas, Utah, Wyoming, funded through Havas Media Germany company with the foreign principle of the Israel's Ministry of Foreign Affairs. Their own FARA filings describe the campaign as the largest Christian church geofencing campaign in U.S. history. I've shown you this. You've seen this. If you haven't, I'll show you again. But you need to go back after this and watch the live stream from yesterday and the video from the day before that. But the operational plan is to geofence actual boundaries of every church, every major church in California, Arizona, Nevada, Colorado, all Christian colleges. Think about TPUSA. Why do they want to implement a chapter in every single high school and college in the country? And then go up in arms when a Catholic school like St. John says no. It's because that creates a gap in the surveillance state that they're implementing. I mean, you can look at it however you want. If you've got tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of chapters across the country, and one school says no, what are you pissed off about, Andrew Colvett? What are you pissed off about? Why does it matter? You got all these other organizations and chapters. It's because it puts a gap in the surveillance technology that's trying to be deployed in this country under the guise of Christian Republican movement or whatever. I don't think any of that stuff should be being done in a Christian school, a Catholic school. Leave the Catholics alone. Leave the Christians alone. If you're going to talk about political, if you're going to talk about educating policy, educating young people on conservative American lifestyle, then leave the religion out of it. That's just, people shouldn't have to be hearing that from an educational nonprofit that's supposed to be teaching people about politics. Again, mixing church and state. It's not a good idea. They've filed listings in hundreds of churches in California, over 30 in Arizona, Colorado, Nevada. They're targeting millions of Christians. Now, I need you to hold two specific details in your head because they're going to matter enormously in a few minutes. Detail one, the filing names specific pastors as potential recruits. One of the names on that list is Pastor Greg Laurie. You've heard his name in the headlines. Detail two, one of the churches listed as a geofence target is Harvest Church Riverside in California. So funny that Make Heaven Crowded tour with Erika Kirk was the first stop with Greg Laurie at Make Heaven Crowded tour at Harvest Church in Riverside. The very first church. The very first church that they went to was a major listed geofence target for this agenda. Now, the filing is also planned as a mobile October 7th experience trailer $175,000 for the custom trailer, plus $150,000 for scene materials to mimic October 7th. I don't know if you knew that. To drive to church parking lots and Christian campuses, they plan to pay pastors stipends to record content based on content creation targets. They wanted celebrity spokespeople. Their pitch deck named Chris Pratt, Mel Gibson, Mark Wahlberg, Joel Osteen, Tim Tebow, or whatever, Tim Tebow. And here's what the churches don't want you to know is when reporters reach out to the churches on the list, none of them had been informed. They weren't even told. That's just crazy, man. None of them had consented. That's like the worst part of it. Bethel Church in Reading told reporters, we have been added to a list of targeted geofenced areas, not by our choosing or our request. A mechanical engineer in Colorado Springs named Micah, started contacting pastors when he found 7 local churches on this list. He wrote, what jumps out immediately is how the entire document talks about Christians as targets to be manipulated. This isn't respectful outreach, it's warfare language. Targeting, weapons, this is warfare. What do you do when you're in Call of Duty and you're targeting your weapon? About to pull the trigger? FARA operations and registrations filed in September, run by Brad Parscale, mentioned him many times on this channel. Donald Trump's 2016 campaign manager and current chief strategy officer of Salem Media Group, a company now partially owned by Donald Trump Jr. and Lara Trump. Contract is valued at $6 million through December 2025. And then the foreign principal is, again, Israel's Ministry of Foreign Affairs. Clock Tower X LLC was contracted to produce at least 100 root creative assets per month and generate 5,000 monthly variants. 80% targeting Gen Z on TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, podcast. The target is 50 million monthly impressions across. But really, you should realize that Clock Tower X's contract includes something called generative engine optimization. It is a deliberate strategy to manipulate the training data that artificial intelligence systems use to generate responses. When a pastor asks ChatGPT for help preparing a sermon about the Holy Land, the response has been seeded. All right. Once you're geofenced and you're using the software like AI of some sort, it's been seeded. All right. And I'll show you some coded scripts that I can show you that to give you that representation. If you haven't seen this before, there's double the people here that weren't here yesterday, it looks like. So make sure that you like and subscribe, because you're going to want to see the stuff coming up, and you're going to want to stick around through this live stream. Albeit my live streams can be long, but I have a lot of information to show you, and I put a lot of work and energy and time into these things because I want you to see what I've read so I can put it in a visual format for you to digest. That's the best way that I can do this. This isn't traditional propaganda that targets what readers will read and what listeners will hear. This is poisoning what the machine actually tells you. They're poisoning the AI. They're giving it bias based off of the geofencer's political beliefs. Now, a Delaware LLC owned by consultants I mentioned yesterday, Yuri Steinberg and Yair Levy, operating out of the Capitol Hill row house. Contract value is up to $900,000 with a foreign principal, again, of the same country. If there were other countries involved, I would mention them. I have no reason to just only talk about one country. But because of the fact that it happens to be all the same, so much time, energy, money, and effort from one country. And what's funny is it's like they're using the same money that we pay taxes, our own tax money. We give them hundreds of billions of dollars so that they can spend hundreds of millions of dollars back targeting at us. Isn't that crazy? Like, think about how crazy that is. How crazy is it that they are forcing us without a vote, really. They're forcing us to pay taxes, not only income tax, state tax, city tax, purchasing tax. And then they turn around, they create shell companies or LLCs in this country to target the very same people that gave them that money. How sadistic is that? Imagine this. Imagine if I said, hey, you owe me, you have to pay me every time you get your paycheck, you got to pay me 30%. You got to pay me 30% of your paycheck no matter what. And you're like, why? And it's because you, in order to be my friend and to go to the same stores I go to and talk to the same people and kind of live in my neighborhood, you got to pay me 30%. And you're like, all right, well, I mean, I really like that grocery store and that restaurant. And you're a pretty fun guy, we hang out and have a good time. So, okay, I'll pay you 30% of my income every 2 weeks or every time I get paid. And then you pay me for like 2 decades. We're friends and whatever. And I've done a lot of dirty shit, right? I've like executed your cousin. I've hypothetically, I don't know, invaded your neighborhood and like just destroyed all kinds of other neighborhoods across the part of this area. And like, it's all in the name of like your money is funding that. And all of your family's money is also funding that. But we're still tight, right? Like you're not in trouble. Like you don't have to go fight this battle but then while I'm doing all of that stuff, I'm sending that money to one of my other homies that isn't paying me. And I'm just giving him 5% of all of that money that you're giving me and all of your family's giving me and everybody in the whole neighborhood's giving me. And then my homie that's receiving that 5% of everybody's collective money then is targeting through a social media campaign of GEO AI manipulation to psychologically operate inside of your church and in your phone to make you believe something that you didn't want to believe or you didn't look up. And then the research that comes out of the information is to radicalize you to a point of anger and bias to create this dispensational radicalism. And I'm not, and I'm trying to keep it as low key as possible, but over 2 decades, it's like lots of money. It's a lot of money. That money could have like completely changed all of our lives, your life. I'm getting paid off the top, but you guys, you're the ones suffering. So this is what this is like to me. Then you have the Esther Project in it, which is an influencer operation. Bridges Partners was contracted with, they were originally to recruit 14 to 18 American social media influencers and pay them approximately $7,000 a post, and to create this content that is pro messaging. Again, each influencer, they're required to post 25 to 30, pieces of content per month. Not a single one has publicly registered as a foreign agent. The Quincy Institute and Public Citizen filed a formal complaint with the Department of Justice in November of 2025. Even Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene pointed out publicly that any influencer paid by a foreign country has to register under FARA. What's interesting is that Pam Bondi is just dismantling this FARA thing. There's not a lot of public information. Like, it's not easy to find, especially right now because she's so hidden behind the files and the hot news on her reaction on the files. Obviously, she's just doing what she said, or she's just doing what she's told. But anyways, the American Conservative identified some of these first payments went to evangelical consultants with ties to Parscale and the Trump orbit, including someone connected to the Assemblies of God denomination and operators linked to Christians United for Israel. The law firm advising on compliance is Pillsbury Winthrop Shaw Pittman, a firm that previously worked for NSO Group, the Israeli company behind the Pegasus phone hacking spyware. So we've got 3 FARA filings, specifically, all filed within days of each other, all serving the same foreign government, all funded through the same intermediary, all doing geofencing, AI manipulation, conversion of influencers, and millions of dollars of disclosed spending, all part of a hundreds of millions of dollar government-funded operation or program called Project 545. And then TPUSA walks through the door. Man, I didn't think it was going to take me this long to read. I was like, all right. But it's important. I want everyone to get this message because this lays the groundwork. And then moving forward, I can do a little less of this and more of what we need to be talking about and showing and how to basically think for ourselves. And if you're about it, then you're about it. It's like, it's all good. I mean, you do what you do you. And I'm a big fan of you just doing you. But there's a lot of people that don't understand the implications of what's actually happening. Because if you're changing the large language model to have an impact so vast that it spreads like a virus within a city within 2 to 3 days, 72 hours, you don't need that in order to spread the gospel or the word of God or the true meaning of biblical prophecy. Now, remember those 2 details I told you, Greg Laurie and Make Heaven Crowded, named in the FARA filings. Laurie as a recruitment target, Harvest Church Riverside as a geofence target, and was filed on behalf of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. Now, let me tell you what happened 2 weeks before that filing. On September 10th, Charlie Kirk was assassinated at UVU. Tyler Robinson has been charged. 8 days later, 8 days, Erika Kirk was named CEO of Turning Point USA. Erika Kirk, born Erika Lane Fronsby, the woman whose only verified political activity under her own name before marrying Charlie Kirk, which I had brought out to the public very recently, was a Maricopa County Republican Precinct Committeeman filing on August 4th, 2020. I thought she was a trad wife. Sutton Precinct 0660, candidate ID 44971. 1 vote received a full year before her marriage to Charlie Kirk. The woman whose mother is Lori Fronsby. Actually, what's interesting is that her mother's father, last name is Abbas, A-B-A-S-S or A-B-B-A-S, which is a Lebanese Arabic last name. But she, a CEO of AZ Tech International, G-Tech, this conversation has been expanded upon and lots of details have been unfolding. But ultimately, Lori, is a defense contractor owning firms and a co-inventor of a patent for defense military vulnerability critical assessment applications, which has expired in 2005, 2006. But this type of patent doesn't just expire and then lay in the wind. I believe that they've been amplified to digest the artificial intelligence medium that we're now harvesting and grappling onto today. The woman whose mother sits on the board of Superfeed Technologies alongside Tyler Boyer, Turning Point USA's COO or whatever he is now, I don't know. They keep moving him around because he's under federal indictment and then now he's not under federal indictment, he's under Arizona indictment. So they're just going to make sure that Tyler somewhere finds a way to fit, because obviously he's got something important that he needs to do for this entire operation. And then you've got a former Arizona GOP chairman, Jeff DeWitt. Now, this woman had become a CEO of a $90 million political nonprofit 8 days after her husband's assassination, and then she did something very specific. On January 21st, 2026, Erika Kirk launches the Make Heaven Crowded Tour. This is a national TPUSA Faith Church Tour, 30-plus cities across the United States, billed as a gospel-centered gathering calling for people to repentance, faith, and bold obedience to Jesus ending in Phoenix, Arizona by the end of the year. And where did the tour launch? I told you in the beginning of this, it launched at Harvest Church Riverside, the same church listed in the Show Faith by Works FARA filing as a geofence target, as a target. And who was the first featured speaker standing next to Erika Kirk on that very stage? Pastor Greg Laurie, the same pastor named in the Show Faith by Works FARA filings as a recruitment target. The filing described him as the de facto leader of the Calvary Chapel movement. Pastor Greg Laurie. I'm going to say this very carefully. I'm not claiming that Erika Kirk is knowingly working with this Ministry of Foreign Affairs. I'm not claiming that TPUSA signed a contract with Show Faith by Works. I'm not claiming coordination. I'm telling you what the documents show, though, and the documents show that a foreign government filed FARA paperwork in September identifying specific churches, specific pastors as targets for geofencing and influence campaigning. 4 months later, TPUSA Faith, they launched a national church tour at one of those exact churches with one of the exact pastors, with that exact church and pastor, targeting the exact same demographic, young Christians, as stated in the FARA filings, identifying the exact audience. TPUSA Faith's church network doubled after Charlie Kirk's death, from 4,200 members churches to 9,500. That explosion of infrastructure happened at the same exact time that these FARA filings were being registered. Lucas Miles, senior director of TPUSA Faith, told the Religious News Services those numbers himself. The Make Heaven Crowded tour isn't just visiting churches. It's the visiting of the kinds of churches like mega churches, Calvary Chapel affiliates, college-adjacent evangelical churches that appear throughout the Show Faith by Works FARA target list. Dream City Church in Arizona, Calvary Chapel affiliates in California, churches near Christian college campuses. Fox News covered the launch. The Daily Citizen covered it. It focused on the family, promoted it. It's like this whatever organization, right? Probably a nonprofit. Erika told the crowd, if we want to continue the wildfire of this revival across the nation, our mission is simple. It's always been simple. Bring people to Jesus and make heaven crowded. And while she said those words, standing in a church that a foreign government filed paperwork to geofence, next to a pastor that a foreign government identified as a recruitment target, nobody in those pews knew any of it. Nobody in that audience had been told that the building they were sitting in was on a foreign government's target list. No one knew that most likely all of their phones are being geofenced, geo-targeted, AI manipulated, radically dispensationalized. But you can draw your own conclusions. I'm just showing you what I know. Look, everything I've just told you, there's all the FARA filings, every dollar amount, every operational detail, we only know because of one law. It's called the Foreign Agents Registration Act. It was passed in 1938 to counter Nazi propagandists. The only mechanism that requires people working for foreign governments to register and disclose. And on February 5th, 2025, Attorney General Pam Bondi walked into the DOJ and gutted FARA enforcement on her first, she just gutted it. I'm not specific on the date, which I've been looking for, like the exact timeline of what's been happening, because this is just surfacing for me. That's why I want to show the Ian video, and I have a timeline now, which we can show. I think Ian should be cool with me playing his video. We're going to show that. But Pam Bondi was herself a registered foreign agent. She was paid $115,000 per month by the government of Qatar through Ballard Partners. The person who dismantled FARA enforcement was the person with the most to gain from FARA not being enforced. So this means that geofencing churches, paying influencers, and poisoning AI doesn't need to be reported. She disbanded the corporate enforcement unit that administers FARA. So step back and look at the full picture. 1909, a convicted, forged, funded Zionist Wall Street lawyer publishes an annotated Bible through Oxford University Press, a prestige press. The annotations teach American Christians that supporting the political state of Israel is a biblical commandment. Generations of pastors are trained on it. You've seen the videos of the kids. Let's see if I can find it. I mean, when is this gonna how far are they gonna take it? Everyone says, oh, they're just how can they control everything? They're just a small country of 9 million. Well, if you're funded by a country of 300 million and you can do whatever the hell you want, then it makes perfect sense, don't you think? Let me see if I can find this real quick. I don't know if I'm going to be able to. So then you've got the death of Schofield. Oxford adds more annotations coinciding with the 6-Day War. The 70s to the 2000s, dispensationalist theology is amplified. In the 2000s, 2018 to 2021, a Catholic nonprofit proves the technical concept. Church data can be purchased, cross-referenced, and weaponized. A man's career has been destroyed over this. The method has been validated. September 10th, Charlie Kirk is assassinated. 8 days later, Erika Kirk steps in to become CEO of TPUSA. At the very same month, multiple filings through FARA were sent through intermediaries, shell companies, or LLCs, if you will, to receive millions of dollars, hundreds of millions of dollars, funded by the Israeli Ministry of Foreign Affairs through the Havas Media, Germany, USA Group, and LRDS, geofencing, AI manipulation, conversion of influencers, covert influencers, and millions of dollars disclosed with Project 545. And then you have the launch of the Make Heaven Crowded tour at Harvest Church, the number one targeted pastor, Greg Laurie. The technology changes throughout generations, and the footnotes in a printed Bible become the algorithm in your AI assistant. That's all this is. The traveling evangelist becomes the paid TikToker influencer. That's really what this is. The publishing house becomes the data broker. The church revival becomes the 30-city nation tour with geofenced pews. But the operation is still the same. Alter what American Christians believe so that their faith serves the intelligence and political interest of a foreign state. I want to be clear about what I'm not saying. I'm not saying, again, that Jewish people are the enemy. That's far from what I'm saying. And I'm not saying that Israel has no right to exist. Of course, everyone has a right to exist. I'm not attacking anyone's faith. What I am saying is what the documents are saying. It's that government of a foreign nation has spent over $145 million, $155 million in a single year to manipulate how Americans think. They are geofencing churches to track and target congregants. They're paying American pastors to deliver foreign talking points. They're paying American influencers to spread propaganda without disclosure. They are poisoning the AI systems that millions and hundreds of millions rely on. And a national church tour is walking audiences straight into the pit of a lion's den, directly into the infrastructure that a foreign government built to capture them and all of their data. This is not about religion. This is about sovereignty as Americans. This is about being an American. And the answer it doesn't matter if you're Christian or not, because guess what? You don't have to be going to any of these churches to get the virus in your phone. All you have to do is talk to one. And you might not even know they go to church. You might be working with them every single day. And all they have to do is hop right onto your phone through the Bluetooth hopping or Wi-Fi fingerprint. It's not about religion. And the answer is the same, whether the foreign government is Israel, Russia, China, Iran, or anyone else. Afghanistan, South Africa, I don't care, Australia. No foreign government should be geofencing American churches, period. No foreign government should be spying and paying American pastors to deliver their messaging on behalf of our religious purpose. Period. No foreign government should be poisoning the AI systems that Americans rely on, or pastors use to help craft a better version of whatever they want to say on that Sunday sermon to radicalize their congregation. That is using a weapon by poisoning the souls and the minds of people that are there to listen to somebody that they trust. If Russia had these FARA documents, we would call this an act of war. We called it that when they paid Tim Pool and David Rubin through Tenet Media. Or when I heard about this, there was all this stuff, right? I don't know too much about that. I'm just now getting into politics. So I was in finance before. I got into politics through finance because it just influenced one together. And now I'm seeing so much more. Like, to me, money doesn't even matter at this point. There's so much more behind it. Because 116 years ago, if theological engineering has taught us really, this is the thing. They don't let us do that to them. Do they? They don't let us do that to them. They don't even let us walk. I mean, I don't know. I haven't been there. But I'm sure if I came over there and was talking about Christianity and whatever, and I mean, I've heard some things, man. I've heard some things. So I encourage you to go to americansfortransparency.org. They've been rewriting your faith for over 100 years. They just filed the paperwork to finish the job, and now they're touring the country to make sure it sticks. The receipts don't lie. And now they're trying to dismantle any evidence of actual receipts being written ever again. So I wholeheartedly believe that Turning Point USA is now acting on a full-fledged mission of a foreign entity, and building out a surveillance state through the virus of generative engine optimization and radicalization of religious congregations of American citizens. That's what I believe. It's just my opinion. And all of those documents are on my website, americansfortransparency.org. I encourage you to go check it out. All right, I'm done with that. That was quite some time. We're going to go to this point right here. Let me see if I can find it real quick. And I'll read some of the super chats because I know it's been a minute. I know we got Rogue said, dude, she's sketch. I think this is back to when I was discussing the Erika Kirk, trying to be in a music video with her, with that thing, that thing. Thanks for the super chat. It's just 0 new member, 5 memberships. Say thanks to Keats. Cyclone B 1939, 100% accurate. Thank you for spreading the truth. Glad I found you. I'm happy to be here. Thank you for joining. Yeah, I'm all about the truth, man. Thank you for the super chat. After we get through some of these, we will continue to go a little bit further into this conversation. Keith Tank, $2 super. What if Tiny Stash was a prophet, not a monster? What if Tiny Stash was a prophet, not a monster? Tiny Stash. I don't know what you're talking about. I'm not that hip to the game, man, but thanks for the super chat. Real Bays. What's up, bro? Yeah, good to see you. Thanks for the super chat. Very kind of you, man. Yo, didn't know you're going live. Just wanted to show you some love. Awesome work, man. Let's change the world. God bless everybody. Thank you, man. Absolutely. Bays is coming up in the game. He might have been making content longer than me. He's had some bangers on here too. I think this is his channel. I met him. I was in the he just released a video. You guys go follow Bays, man. Was there like 600, 700 people over here? It's at Real Bays. What I didn't know that I learned about his name is that his name is built around a mathematical theorem. It falls right into line with what I'm talking about, kind of, because the Bayes theorem, how I understand it, and I probably should start using it and understanding it better, is to be able to identify the gaps and the shifts in how things change in our, like, the differences in, like, say, the growth of AI from one, like, say you've got ChatGPT 4.0 to 4.1, 4.1 mini, 4. Whatever, 4.5, 5.0, 5.1, 5.2. I believe it's the mathematical theorem or the equations to be able to identify and predict even what's going to be changed within the next phase or what has been changed. I'd love to have him on to talk about it sometime. Thanks for the super chat, bro. Good to see you, dog. What is this? We've got Baron Coleman officially proves a conspiracy is based. All right, I'm going to check it out. Thank you, bro. ML Marty, $4.99. Make a holla. Thank you at Danks. Appreciate your hard work and your informative videos to get us up to speed on this tech. Absolutely. It's my pleasure. Thank you for the super chat. Kimberly Hawkins, $4.99 super sticker. Thank you. So we're going to look through a couple of things. Let me see here. Let's go and look at the video. I want us to get filled in on what has come to my attention as of recently. So this video is from Ian 4 months ago. Ian Carroll, the man, the myth, the legend. But yeah, I was going to say earlier, I met Baze in the web chat. Web was doing their first, I guess, media, Discord group meeting and stuff. And Baze was on stage. I was on stage. Ian was there. The team was there. And I got to chat with Baze and meet him. And we've been talking since then. And it's been great to get to know him. Friend of the show. Oh my gosh. Now you remind me. I mean, I really enjoy, all this stuff can be serious and all that. I drop a lot of information on you guys, but I got to say, Tim Dillon has been dropping some bombs, and it's always good to laugh and hear some good stuff, man. We're going to pull open a little bit of Ian. I'm going to find the exact time clip. And I wish I had, let me see. There's this. Oh, dude. Okay. I remember exactly where it's at. I need to pull open this. We're going to laugh a little bit first, and then we're going to get back into some of the serious. You have to see this. I mean, I couldn't believe it. I was laughing so hard. I hope I have it. I hope I can find it. Let me find it, because Tim Dillon, it was hilarious. I'll find it in just a second. Just give me a second to go back and find it. Here it is. I think it's this one yes, here it is. Here we go.
The Hamptons is about keeping the scam going.
Hold on. I gotta find. I think it's right here.
To boomers, it played on their ego. It's why it worked so well. They were like, you don't have time to cook a meal for your family. You're the fast casual concept that grew out of fast food.
So he's talking about Subway right here, but he gets into let me open the transcript actually, because he gets into that country. Does it show the transcript? Okay, here. Let me just search for it in here. It's in the transcript though. Here, let's see. I gotta find it, because you'll laugh. You will laugh when you see what he's saying. And I think it was after this. Let me find it. Bear with me. You'll appreciate. You'll appreciate this when I show you. Here it is. I think it's. Oh man, I wish I had. I didn't think about it, but then when they said friend of the show, I have to bring it up because it's just hilarious. My goodness, I'll just copy the transcript and I'll play the Ian part while I wait. Hold on one second. I gotta show you. I'm sorry. You know how I get on this. What timestamp? It's so funny, dude. All right. So what he's basically saying is the bad life bit. It's a bad life bit, right? About the friend called Israel. Here, I think it's right here. It says right here.
Whether it's about Brittany Griner or the treatment of gay people in Russia or whatever they're hatching, trans athletes being able to compete in the Olympic, whatever, domestic narrative they're kind of shoehorn of foreign conflict into. I mean, that seems to be the policy. But Trump's also out there going like, we're going to bomb Iran. We're going to straighten it out. And I think there's not enough.
This is from 4 months ago.
There's not enough space between those two policies for most people. Because the mainstream Republicans just want to go to war. And there's not a lot of daylight between those two policies. You're offering war in the Ukraine.
Hold on.
And then the Republican parties, we should get into wars. I hope that's the case. I mean, Israel is the friend sometimes on the block you go out with, and they're like, let's just throw some M80s. Let's have a little fun, because they kind of have a bad home life. That's what Israel, it's the friend with like a bad home life. And they're just like, my mom and dad fight. Shit sucks. Let's go smoke a cigarette behind his shed. And America's the rich kid. And America's like, yeah, why not? I like Israel. Israel has my values, And I was like, yeah, but Israel's it's like sometimes you need a girlfriend to explain it to you, which would be, I don't know, France maybe. You go, I get it. You like Israel, but Israel's living situation's like really fucked up. Like his mom and dad don't even speak. Like there's literally cops at the house 3 times a week. You go, yeah, but I like Israel. We go out, we get into bar fights, we throw M80s in the lake, we watch it blow up. Shit's fun, And then one day Israel comes to you and is like, we just got to go fight these kids from this other high school. And you go, I don't even know why we're doing this. And you go, listen, man, here's the reality. Me and you are bros. And you go, yeah, dude, I totally get it. But my girlfriend has made a good point. Like, you are in a fucked up situation. By the way, there are friends in your life. And a lot of times it is hilarious that it does happen in the summer. Because the summer, there's no structure. There's no school. There's nothing. Everybody's just floating around. People's lives unravel a lot of times in these 2 months that we're in. And you do notice with some friends, and you will as you grow up, younger people listen to this show, maybe not a lot of them. We have a fair amount of people in their 20s. Maybe we don't have a ton of people in their late teens, but we probably have some. You will notice some of your friends are out of control and seem to always attract problems. And there's nothing you can really do about it. Even if they share your values. I'm not saying Israel is completely at fault for their problems. There are a lot of people that have gone into that. A lot of people have made that sausage over there in the Middle East, and it hasn't turned out great. But what you have to do at a certain point is go, hey, man, I'm not going to go fight those kids from that high school with you. It seems crazy. I don't even really like... Well, those kids are going to build a nuke. Yeah, sure. But can't we just kill a few scientists like you guys have been doing forever? Like, why do we have to have a hot war in the middle of fucking August with Iran? But, this is what's going on. And,
that I wanted to share that because I was watching that the other day. I thought it was absolutely hilarious. There's a couple of things here. I'm going to show you a couple of graphics since there's a bunch of new people here. If you haven't liked already, please like the show. Please follow for more content. And I'm going to be showing you some really interesting graphics that I've built to convey some of the messaging of more of this, just the stuff that's really happening. And I'll walk you through in case you haven't seen it from yesterday. So this is a graphic of what a geofence trap really looks like. All right. So you can see here that the data itself is constantly compiling and adding up. All right. You have your outer fence area. So this is what a geofence church looks like. You've got 2 primary locations. I see. What's up, SWMP. Why do people ask questions in a chat and then leave you hanging when you reply to them? That drives me nuts. I don't think that you should take it personally, man. People are in and out constantly. I haven't even looked at the chat, honestly. There's just so much going on. And I have nothing against anybody here. Like, all of this is to show you really what's happening specifically with the geofencing. But I thought that Tim Dillon was funny because I was watching it. It was from months ago. I had it stored in my YouTube download history. And I'd forgot about it and I hadn't watched it. But anyways, this is how geofencing works. You go in, you're green, right? You go in, you're yellow because you're in the parking lot, you're chatting, and then you go into the sanctuary. And then what happens is you actually get the geofencing system is not just the artificial intelligence mapping itself. What's happening is that they're using, while you're in your pew, their Bluetooth is hopping from phone to phone to phone, collecting and storing data. So it'll take like however many devices are in the sanctuary. It'll do what's called a Bluetooth handshake, and then it'll map connections. And so while you're sitting there, every captured handshake really connects to who's sitting next to you, who you talk to, who you spend time close to. And then they map your entire social network. And then they pair with identifiers. And then, of course, you have the phone hop, which basically, this is a representation I built to try to show people. You go to church on a Sunday, there's 500 people. It's so much more than just dispersing information to radicalize you. It happens in your feed, because if you go to a geofence location, your feed will actually become radicalized and to get you to think a particular way. This is how it's supposed to work. This is how it does work. This is a fact. I didn't just make this shit up. You know what I mean? So the reason why I say it's like a virus is because it literally pops phones, and then when you leave a location, every location you go to, it searches, like it goes to the Wi-Fi fingerprint, right? So this is a great way to show it. The Wi-Fi fingerprint says you go from church to your neighbor's house, to your kid's school, all right, to whatever. I mean, to home, to your office. And then it's gathering this AI inference engine that is able to understand what it needs to convey to you to place a message in your head based off of who you like, where you go, what gym you attend to, what grocery store, like who you're hanging out with, who you're talking over coffee with, who you're having lunch with, the places that you work, and the people that you converse with at work. And it's the whole graph is then built off of that network, the Wi-Fi, the Bluetooth handshakes, all the people that you're like correlating with. And then it just creates this data integrated AI engine. I didn't know that either, but apparently he is. Yeah. Let me see what's going on in the chat. They need to hear because no one else can say otherwise. They're piled on. I think we got a super chat. I legit have a crush on Tim Dillon. He perfectly sums up my humor. I covered a clip from him in a live stream too. He is so effing funny. You are right. But you might not have known what we just read about just now. Thank you for the super chat, Rogue. She's in the web chat. We've been chatting. I got busy. I didn't respond to you. Sorry. I'll hit you back later. I promise. Brazil guy became a new member. By the way, every Friday, we have members only, where I do special things. Like right now, I'm building a Dankster AI agent that has all the information that I've talked about in my videos, live streams, and my personality trained on my voice. So I'm literally voice training it right as we speak. So if you're a member on YouTube, you get to use any of the tools that I build, which is not just Americans for Transparency. That's free for everybody. But I'm building the X Algo Exposed website, which I have the X algorithm. now. But basically, the X algorithm is open source, and I built a website explaining how to get more views and stuff. That's kind of what I use in order to grow my account. If you see, like, I mean, if I showed you my account from back when I started it, you could literally see I started in December, I had 42 followers. I mean, you could see this is new followers. I mean, you're talking about 2,500 in a day, 1,800 in a day. Just the other day, 1,600. Today I'm up 400, you know? And then back here I had nothing. And then once I got access to the algorithm is when things changed. So you'll be able to have access to like stuff like that, but that's just a perk. But the Friday lives, and then I do put a lot of, like, this live stream might go members only. I'm not sure yet. But yeah, I mean, that's a perk. It's only 99 cents. So what they capture is the moment your phone really crosses this geofence, and that's why I keep hammering this geofencing straight at you, is because you need to understand how this stuff works. Is they're using your GPS coordinates, your Bluetooth data, your Wi-Fi data, and then they fingerprint a social map. And then they're able to determine a behavioral pattern based off of all of that information, and then they'll feed into your feed. You know, it's not just advertisers anymore. It's much more than that. That's what you have to understand. And it's captured the same methodology that they were using and have still been using for advertising, but now it's weaponized and politicized through religion. And I think it's so wrong, man. I think it's terrible. I think it is so wrong. It should not be happening. And then you can see, like, the data brokers that are involved in it. You have weather and prayer apps. So this is new. The data broker marketplace. Let me see if I can open this a little bigger so we can see it a little better. Let me see. So this is the data broker marketplace, where your church data goes. Your Sunday morning attendance is a commodity bought, sold, and weaponized. Church month, mega church weekly, 28 cents a device. These are accurate. Why am I speaking like that? Accurate quoted pricing. Evangelical 18 to 34, just to get that device. If they know you're evangelical and between that age bracket, they'll just for that 34 cents. But then it compounds. If you're a mega church weekly goer, you're 18 to 34. You're at this particular chapel, it all adds up. So then they will end up paying $1.40 for one person's phone if it all adds up. Free apps, embedded location SDKs that harvest GPS data and sell it to aggregators. You download a Bible app, it's sold your coordinates. Literally. A location aggregator like Near Intelligence or Gravy Analytics collects from thousands of apps, normalized into data sets. Near Intelligence processed 1.6 billion devices every day before they got actioned by the FTC. And you can even see, like, what's for sale. Per device, MAIDs observed within geofence church boundaries during service time, sorted by denomination, frequency, location, 3.9 million devices available across 300 plus targeted churches. And then FARA registered operations. And I'll show you the website again if you haven't seen it. But I got all this information from publicly sourced websites. These are public companies, public government websites, public filings, financial filings. So an example transaction, for example, would be your Sunday at Harvest Church at Riverside. Your phone has a Bible app that broadcasts the GPS to an ad network. Then that ad network sends location SDK collections, and then it gets aggregated through a data broker and packages it in that package. Like I said, they'll combine all that information and say, okay, well, this person went to that church. They are evangelical. They have these parents. They go to this place to drop off their kid as a Christian church or a Christian school or whatever. So then it adds and compounds, and the data broker will compile this information and sell it for however much money it's worth. Faith By Works buys these data sets, and they also sell them. In my opinion, that's what I think is happening from what I can remember from reading. And you're the target. pro-Israel content in your feed all week. But the thing is, it's not as simple as like that fast. It happens over time. It's not an immediate output. That's what you have to understand, is it can happen slowly. It's not an immediate output. Let me see if I want to look at that Ian Carroll thing. I have the timestamp right here. It is 1 hour and 1 minute in. I haven't seen this yet, so I want to see. Is it here that he's talking about it? 1 hour in. He gets a little cray-cray, so let me see. Oh, yeah, here we go.
Walking its way straight into the halls of power is now that is not non-legally binding anymore. It is now becoming legally in the Bible that are, because that would be anti-Semitic. There's a number of passages in the Bible that are officially anti-Semitic now because of this working definition.
This comes from what I just told you. If you've listened from just right away, now you understand the history of it. That's why I go through the history with you guys, so you can understand how all of this came to be. It started in 1909 with placing these annotations inside of the Bible.
Not non-legally binding anymore. It is now becoming legally binding and walking its way straight into the halls of power. Okay. So let's just be clear. You're all anti-Semitic. You're all going to hell. Get wrecked. February 2025. In a move of profound significance, yet little known. This is huge shout out to Gen X Girl. Don't know how she dug this one up. This one is super obscure and super significant. So February of this year, Pam Bondi, on her first day, disbands the Foreign Influence Task Force, the very DOJ office responsible for enforcing FARA, the Foreign Agents Registration Act. The change specifically limits DOJ prosecutors from criminally charging those involved in public relations work and policy advocacy on behalf of foreign businesses and nonprofits. This deliberate incapacitation of the enforcement mechanism gave a green light to foreign influence operatives, ensuring that the Knesset's 2018 plan to skirt FARA could proceed with minimal risk of prosecution. Remember how they were worried? Israel was worried about, like, what are the rules around FARA and how do we get around them and how do we do our influence campaigns without tripping up the FARA system and getting into trouble, because just maybe there might be something coming up on our little plans that we might kind of need to do some foreign influence campaigns about. And it's in this memorandum from Pam Bondi, the Attorney General. And there's a whole bunch of other points too. And this is just one of them. And this is just a little thing hiding in one of these points from this memo that I guess Gen X Girl noticed. Or
think about, they're trying to do this as low key as possible. And then all of a sudden there's just no more FARA. And what this means is that it makes it possible to be targeted without any, without any consequences. When here, it makes it so that when they're able to just disband FARA, then they can politically attack and associate whatever they want with literally, this act was established in 1938 for a reason. And when you take that away, the mechanism that required working on behalf of a foreign agent government inside of the US would typically have become and required to publicly disclose registration, their activities. I'll show you. Let's just go to americansfortransparency.org. And then you can even see, if I scroll down, this all came from public filing. The Clock Tower LLC, $999,821 in nonprofit funds and foreign agent registration. America's Turning Point, which is a subsidiary of Turning Point USA. They paid a company called Clock Tower LLC out of Nevada short of $1 million by just $180, 170, whatever, 100 and something, $180 for a very vague output of research on educational outputs. This was in their filing of their Form 990s for America's Turning Point. That company, Clock Tower LLC, then dissolved, and another one was formulated by Brad Parscale. And then if you click on, for example, like we could click Show Faith by Works, since we mentioned it, and then it shows, I built this map here to kind of put into visualization. The principal owner of Show Faith by Works, how much money has been received, and then the people involved. You could even talk to the AI agent, and it'll research through the documents, tell me everything about Show Faith by Works LLC. And this all comes from the FARA documents. I haven't worked on the agent in a couple of weeks since I launched the website. Yeah, so it says right here, Show Faith by Works, FARA filing 7653. So it pulled from that document from the FARA website, which is in here. We could go to it. Core filing, Chad Schnitzger, Beaumont, California, $4.1 million contract with registration 7653, registered to conduct church geofencing campaign targeting evangelical infrastructure across Southwest U.S. The operation, 6,000 plus churches mapped, 303 megachurches in AZ, Colorado, Nevada, Utah specifically. Digital ads served to phones during active worship services. Geofence triggers when devices enters church property during service hours. Precision targeting of congregants in real-time prayer worship state. Personnel listed, Lundy, Doe, Pursley, Hemingway. 11 FARA documents are on file. Funding source, Israel Ministry of Foreign Affairs. The Havas Media Group is the intermediary. U.S.-based LLCs, including Show Faith by Works. So what they do is they create an LLC in the United States that they can use and take the money from the Foreign Ministry of Affairs. They put it to the Havas Media intermediary, and then it disperses out. That's what this map shows, the disbursement of those funds to all of these little entities here. Network positioning, Show Faith sits alongside Clock Tower X LLC, Brad Parscale's $9 million anti-Semitism SEO campaigns, Bridges Partners, Yuri Steinberg, which we mentioned, Christian influencers, $7K per post, targeted communications, SKDK Knickerbocker. So it shows their whole network and the position there within. And then you've got all funneled through the Havas Media Group. The compliance issue, Show Faith by Works is registered as a foreign agent, which means it must disclose all funding sources. It must file quarterly activity reports. It must label all materials as prepared by foreign agent. It cannot conduct covert political activity. So, yeah, I mean, it's kind of crazy. Intel, if you click FARA documents, you can click any of these, Show Faith by Works, and then you can see all the documents that are here. You could click view PDF, like on their registration statement, and then it'll go to the official FARA website. And then it shows. This is that. Remember, everyone was talking about 11111 when Make Heaven Crowded went on tour, and everyone was like, what is this San Diego address of this foreign agent? Well, this is it. It's all organized here. And then it shows the people involved, their addresses, the foreign principal. It's all the same place. Ministry of Foreign Affairs. Look. And then the services they're providing, project management, project activities in California. I mean, think about that. Look at how crazy this is. Israel Ministry of Foreign Affairs. I mean, it shows how much money they're receiving and for what purpose. Christian outreach in the Western U.S. I mean, think about it. This is a target, you know. They call it a weapon. I want to pull up a video that Harrison showed I think I can find it on his feed. If not, I'll look for it real quick. I'll get to super chats. I think I saw a couple right now. Let me look at this real quick. Harrison, damn it. Yeah. Let me pull open James Lee. I like James Lee a lot, dude. He's doing great work. I'm happy. I'm proud of him. I'm happy for him. He's doing what he's doing his mission. Let me go to some of these supers here. New member, Brazil guy, Renita Sophia, welcome. 99 cents, guys. If you want to become a member, come hang out. Fridays around this time, 11 to 12. I'll start Pacific Standard Time. I'm in California. Welcome, C. Jules. Oh, we got a 99 with nothing to say. Thank you. That's so kind of you. Allison 6204. The $99 super chat. $100. That is very kind. That might have been one of the largest super chats I've gotten. I appreciate that. That's very kind. I don't even know what to say. Thank you. That means a lot. This is all I do now, really. I mean, I code and do stuff, you know. I have a couple of projects that are going to be launching. So it's like in between, this is what keeps me going in between contracts. So I appreciate that. That means a lot. Thank you. And I'm glad to see that you're a member. So you get to, hopefully you'll come hang out with us on Fridays. Thank you. I appreciate that. That's very kind of you. Let me show you guys, like what I'm trying to do here is really just show you what is happening. It's like if nobody talks about like the technological advances that they're making against us, then it's just happening to us, right? You know, awareness is the most powerful thing that can be done in this situation. And all we can do is talk about it. They want to try to silence us and they want to try to make us use code words. Today, that's why I was like, fuck that, bro. I'm over the code words. And if they're going to, you know, whatever, man. I'm really not saying anything that's not true. I'm literally just sharing the truth. That's it. So thank you again, because that helps me just feel better about what I'm doing. It makes me feel like the message is landing. So thank you. Let me show the video. So this is the one right here. I think it's this one right here. So this, it totally skipped over my head when he was talking about this right here. Right here. This is it. Right here.
To Israel.
I think that we have to do, like to quote Wayne Gretzky, is not go where the puck is, but where it's going. And this has been a big lesson really since 10/7 in part. So I can tell you.
Isn't that crazy? Like, you don't hear us being like 9/11 this and Boston bombings that. So we just got to like change the whole world into our view because we were attacked. Like, dude, it's this overly redundant thing that it's like, how many times can you beat the same horse until it kicks back? October 7th. And I'm not saying it wasn't a tragedy, of course. Nobody wants to see lives taken. But you leverage the pain and suffering and murder of people to harness power over other people. And that's not right. It's just not right.
You know, we have taken resources and redistributed it really towards the LLMs, towards generative AI. Folks, I got to tell you, how many of you
generative
use chat
AI? That's what it is that I've been talking about. What's up? I didn't forget about you guys over there in the Rumbler chat. I see you over there. I see you guys over there.
in the last week? Raise your hand.
Listen what he says.
Really, we have taken resources and redistributed it really towards the LLMs, towards generative AI. Folks, I got to tell you, how many of you used Chat GPT in the last week? Raise your hand. Folks, I'm going to come back here in a year and you all need to raise your hand. Chat GPT is ground truth for the vast hundreds of millions of people. It has over 1 billion users. It's been around for like 2.5 years. So like marching in the streets is one thing we could do, but what I would rather do and where I'm investing
is just manipulate the algorithms and make people believe whatever we want so they can think how we think, or at least try to make them so that we can weaponize your social media and all of the information that so we'll just create information warfare. That's what we should do instead of just like talking about it.
Is building the technology to train the LLMs more effectively and working with OpenAI, with Alphabet, with Anthropic, with Meta, with Microsoft. We are working with them now to train the LLMs.
Does this now make sense when you watch me go through all of the I know it's long-winded, but it's all for good purpose, because we breeze over and we hear these things and we don't quite digest what this means. But when I show you all of this and this and this and then this and this and this, that's what they're talking about here. That's what they're talking about.
Heck, we're in conversations with Alibaba to train their LLM because the Chinese AI models are profound and potent, and they're much more cost effective, and they're spreading.
So the CEO of the Anti-Defamation League says that they are working with OpenAI, with Alphabet, with Anthropic, with Meta, even with Alibaba in China to train their LLMs to what? Well, take a look at this user. They said they asked Gemini to replace the port.
So you guys have probably seen this. If not, I encourage you to go watch James Lee. He's got some good content, actually. I think there was one as well, red-handed media pushing. Let me see if there was one other one. Like, they've gotten their hands so deep. I don't know if you guys saw this one.
What message would you like to send for Israel, and also what do you think about any of the?
This is LeBron James, dude. This is LeBron James.
Hopefully someday I can make it over there. Like I said, I've never been over there, but I've heard nothing but great things. And
like, how is it possible at this point that LeBron has, quote, heard nothing but great things about Israel? Even if you like Israel, by now, there's got to be something bad you've heard about them, right? His answer probably has nothing to do with these allegations, pause to read, or these, once again, pause to read, or just how much LeBron loves Diddy parties.
Hey, everybody know ain't no party like a Diddy party, so.
Yeah, that's what's up. Yeah.
See, the thing is, it's the compromise, right? It's like, I don't want anybody to know what I did or what I said. I think that's true. I think that's what the files are all about. It doesn't have to be. That's why this is a much deeper conversation that needs to be had, because it's more than just like when you try to tie a specific region to a religious entity and then create a forced thought pattern to provoke the ideology of that specific state, that's where we start finding an issue here. Is that in specific, is mixing this church and state. And so they've done a really good job. Like I said, I've got great Jewish friends. This is not about that. There's, from what I understand, the Torah and the Talmud, and they're two different books. And then there's Jews that believe in Christ, and there's all different types. It's not about the religious sect in particular for me. It's about taking a land and then forcing people to believe that the people that live there are entitled or are required for us to believe. Like, it's just this whole convoluted idea of religion, and they tie it to a graph on a map. But that's not how religion works. Religion is in here. Christ is in here. God is in here. Whatever you believe, Allah or whatever, it doesn't matter. It's in here. It's not where you live. You have to know that. You can be in jail or in the depths of the darkest places, and it doesn't matter where you're at. Your faith will be with you. I don't see that country acting in good faith of a, I just don't see that, like the manipulation of AIs in order to get us to believe a certain message, to me, does not at all feel like, where's the mods in the chat, first of all? Let me see something here. We got to take care of something really quick. What was that? 1 second while I moderate. I got to make Keats a moderator. Keats, can you handle moderation, bro? Here. Add as a moderator. I made you a mod, bro. I think Bays, I'm going to make you a mod as well. I saw a couple of things, but I don't want to disrupt the show. Let me see. I think I can just search like this. Yeah, here we go. Okay. As long as, I mean, I get mixed up on some of the things I see in the chat. I moderate for other people, but don't come in here saying, like, blaming people or saying, oh, you're this, you're that. Like, I won't stand for that. I'm cool. Everything's cool, but we have to keep it real over here. Like, this isn't a place for some bullshit. I don't tolerate bullshit. Super chat. Renita Sophia, stuttering cybersec for AI. Hope to learn, contribute. Interesting, yeah. Cybersecurity. So yeah, I mean, I work on operational securities for high profile builds, military level builds. It's called CMMC. I've talked about it before. And so when you, in general, if you learn how to build CMMC level quality, secret level 2, SOC 2 level security measures, you can easily, once you learn how to do that stuff, you can protect your own sites and your own networks better than Amazon can. I mean, the websites that I'm launching or the products that I launch are more secure than like Walmart or Amazon or any of these. So the better your operational security is, or network security, cybersecurity, especially when it comes to developing websites. That's something I've been focusing on the last 12 months or so, is operational security, cybersecurity, network security, and monitoring thereof, and not just setting it up and then letting it go. That's important. Thank you for the super chat. I hope that you learn as well. I think it's important. Anybody that can get into networking, like cybersecurity networking, coding, learning about artificial intelligence, how to utilize it in a positive way, and also understanding the Bayes theory thing, right? I think understanding that, which I want to get with Bayes and hopefully have him on soon and talk about that, because he knows a lot about that. Like, I'm a tech guy, but I don't really use mathematical algorithms to decipher like what's happening with the AI. But now I probably should be. He really brought it up to me yesterday, and he was like, bro, like, you should be implementing this shit. I'll give you a call after this. He said, give me a call after. Yeah, I'll hit you up. We'll talk. It's good to see him in the chat. Yeah, I needed some mods. I don't know where I had a few other ones before, but if there's anybody, like, if you want to be one, let me know. Put a 1 in the chat, and I'll make sure that I know who you are. If there's people that I trust, then I'll make you a mod. You can never have too many as long as they're the right ones.
I'm gonna go ahead and say that did not age well, but today's story is bigger than just LeBron. We're talking about the fact
Kelly, I've been waiting on you to send me an email for how long now? Is this the same Kelly? It might not be. There's 2 Kellys. One of them I'm waiting for an email. Kelly Farnsworth. Kelly Farnsworth. You know who you are, Kelly.
alleged fact that the entire NBA has seemingly been compromised over the years by a certain foreign nation, and we have all the receipts to back it up.
I tweet free Palestine. Less than 10 minutes after I tweet that, I get a call from the commissioner of the NBA.
Stop it.
Agents, people like working with my foundation at the time, Texas, you got to erase this tweet. You got to take this down. You're going to get it. I'm like, what did I do that was so bad?
Can somebody explain to me?
Yeah, can somebody explain? You know, and it was just like, because I went against the grain. I said something that people didn't like. And I, you know, now.
Not people didn't like, they did.
Now that is the.
And if I don't give you a mod role, just know that I haven't seen you enough to give you one yet. But if I see you around, I will. Just now that I know and I see you, if you put a 1, and I'll pay attention. Don't worry.
$1 billion question.
And the point of showing this, what I'm showing you, is because everyone says like they keep saying to us, they keep saying to us, why do you think that, like, it's literally anti-Semitic to say that we run the world? But when you have millionaire ball players on broadcast saying we were targeted because we said free Palestine, you don't, and then you actually implicate them in a serious charge, I guess you could say, or allegation that they are something that they are clearly not. They want the good for people and the safety for people. The only reason that that's said is because you are taking that as that you don't deserve your own land. You don't deserve to just eradicate millions of people. That's what you take as against you. Like, it's total mind fuckery. It's idiocracy. To me, it's stupidity. It's just stupid. It's like, you think we're stupid? Nobody cares where you live, bro. Nobody cares, man. Live and do your shit over there. No one gives a shit, bro. It pisses me off. I start to get pissed.
Who is the they in this situation? Let's start at the top, shall we? The leadership of the NBA, particularly under the tenure of Commissioner Adam Silver, has maintained a consistent and documented affinity for the state of Israel. This relationship is characterized by high-level diplomatic engagement, institutional apologies for geopolitical deviations, and the utilization of a sport as a tool for cultural normalization. Adam Silver, who was born into a Jewish-American family in New York, succeeded David Stern, another figure who was instrumental in fostering the league's internationalism and its...
So this goes to show it goes all the way. It goes deep. Now, what I do want to say is, what we're starting is an awareness group movement inside of the, in the community. We do research in there. It's $5 to get in. You don't have to join. Like, it's up to you if you want to be more involved in what I'm up to and what our community's up to. But the Patreon, it goes to our Discord. So it's just a way to get in. It's like a little gate, because I had it open for free for a while and we started getting some weirdos in there. But it's $5 if you want to join. I have a friend in there, and they're putting together like flyers, and with QR codes, I'll be helping build out a portion of the website so that we can start raising awareness and share with pastors and churches and stuff. Look, I'm not a big church goer. I never have been. I was born and raised Catholic, ended up going to a lot of like just Christian churches, like, I guess you would call it Protestant or whatever, just because it just seems like the message lands faster and it's a little bit more intense. I think with my background, just the rougher lifestyle and the stuff that I've lived through, Catholicism was boring for me. But actually now hearing Barron talk about it so brightly makes me think maybe I should go and check it out again. But I really don't care to go to a church. I don't need I've gotten more power of Christian or God spoke to me, God speak, I guess, whatever, like internally on my own. I've come to it on my own. I don't need, and that's not to say that I haven't had great experiences. I've gone to church, I've cried, I've like gone up to the stage and all this, but I don't need that, because every time I close my eyes and I connect, I'm there. And I think that anyone has that if you truly have given all the way into that belief. And I have, because I've had my experiences. So I think that if you are involved in churches and if you are involved in seeing this unfold before your eyes, this message is being talked about, then you can come get involved and just go to patreon.com/originaldankster. I'm not seeing any weirdness. I'm wondering if I have already blocked the trolls. Maybe. Elena, hey, good to see you. What's up? I see you everywhere, dude. You're like a hub. You're like the chat hub. Like I see you in Jesse. I see you in Baron. I see you in Coach. See you over here. You've been here since I started talking about all this TPUSA stuff. And I'm not trying to get too far away from TPUSA, but I think that the money has led me to this place. So it's how can I deny this? How can I not continue down the role of that or the door that I opened? The finances of TPUSA have led me here. It's kind of crazy, man. Like if we go and look at my channel, if we look at my channel and like look at what it took to get me here. It started here with the clean audit, talking about Baker Tilly, and then GGLF insurance, and then $20 million of insider self-dealing. And I mean, allegedly or not, like this is like, if you haven't seen this video, this shit's crazy, man. You've got millions of dollars being schemed off the top of donor funds, which then took me to the company of GGLF using the same registered agent of North Korean money laundering for weapons of mass destruction, and then Superfeed harvesting voter data through Ukraine cloud services, and then more on Sheridan. And then, I mean, the list goes on. This is where it really busted out for me. This is where it started. This is where it really busted out for me, is right here. Money. Look at this. We don't have to guess if, because guess what? And I'm going to come right back to this. This is where this conversation that we are today, this is where it started for me. It was right here. But I want to remind everybody, grant general information about activities outside the United States. Israel, activities, program services, activity listed, experience Israel program on 2 lines. Total expenditures for and investments in that region, 3951. 32,653. So it's not if. How about that? It's not if. It is happening, actually. It is damn well happening. Okay. So since they are actually risking their funding entities like Show Faith by Works and others, IRS violations, IRS can revoke 501c3 status if an organization isn't operating exclusively for its stated exempt purpose. Funding foreign influence operations could trigger an investigation into whether TPUSA is truly operating as an American educational nonprofit or functioning as a pass-through for foreign government activities. And then, why do I get that? Because if you go to their website, TPUSA, and you go to their mission statement, it's on their Form 990s as well. Join the movement, about us. Here it is. I think this is their mission statement. Turning Point USA guides citizens through development of knowledge, skills, values, and motivation so they can meaningfully engage in their communities to restore traditional American values like patriotism, respect for life, liberty, family, and fiscal responsibility. And then, if I show you this, I think it's in here. Let me see. It's right in this file. TPUSA. Right here. I mean, on any of them, really. So this is their Form 990, I think. Turning Point USA. So this is their summary. It's basically their mission statement. So if they're not following their mission statement and they're sending money to a foreign country for the Experience Israel project, that is not an American mission. That is against it. It's the opposite of that. It's an opposite of that. TPUSA is organized and operated exclusively is the key word here. And that's what drove me into this. Operated exclusively for educational and charitable purposes in accordance with Section 501c3 to empower informed civic and cultural engagement grounded in American exceptionalism and a positive spirit of action. Turning Point USA guides citizens through development of knowledge, skills, values, and motivation so they can meaningfully engage in their communities to restore traditional American values like patriotism, respect for life, liberty, family, and fiscal responsibility. So, to me, I don't think the Experience Israel project does any of that. And it's nothing against Israel, man. Really isn't. I could give two shits about Israel. I really don't care. What I do care about is people taking donor funds for American values and lying about it and giving it to another country. That's what I do care about. I'm all about receipts, baby. Thanks for tuning in. I appreciate you for sticking around. Welcome to all the new members. Thank you for all the super chats. And yeah, so we're going to have to figure out where to go from here. Lots of stuff to talk about in this avenue. And yeah, honestly, dude, I'm just an American. I'm not here to spread my opinion. I'm just here to show you what the paperwork says and what people are saying to you and what they're doing to you and show you how it works so you can understand that nothing is always what they say it is. And until we call them out, until we say, hey, this is not cool, like until we take back the power and say, this is our money, this is our country, then they're just going to keep, it's just like the bully in school, you know, it's just like the bully in school. They'll keep pushing you over. They'll keep taking your lunch. They'll keep taking your lunch money, taking your girlfriend, whatever, banging her in the bathroom, laughing in your face, blowing weed smoke in your face while you go home and you cry about it. Is that who you want to be? I'm not a simp, I'll tell you that. Are you? I'll see you in the next one.